The White Fox of Riverdale Road. Riverdale Road in Brighton, Colorado, was infamous for its strange happenings, ghostly apparitions, eerie lights, and mysterious accidents had earned it the nickname the Road to Hell. But what people feared most wasn't the phantom hitchhikers or haunted houses. It was the White Fox. On a cold October night, Jenna and her friends were driving along Riverdale Road, returning from a party. The full moon hung high, casting a pale glow on the winding asphalt. The road stretched before them like a ribbon of darkness, the trees on either side looming like silent sentinels. As the car sped through the night, laughter filled the air until something darted across the road. What was that? Jenna slammed on the brakes, her heart pounding. The car skidded to a stop, the headlights illuminating nothing but an empty stretch of road. No animal, no person, just the quiet, still night. "I didn't see anything," her friend Matt muttered from the back seat. But there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. "I swear I saw something," Jenna replied, her hands trembling as she gripped the steering wheel. She took a deep breath, about to press on the gas, when something white appeared on the side of the road. A fox. It was larger than any fox she'd ever seen, its fur ghostly white that seemed to shimmer under the moonlight. But it was the eyes that froze her in place, burning orbs of light, glowing like twin headlights in the dark. The car's engine sputtered, and the headlights flickered. Jenna felt a wave of dread wash over her as the fox stared, unblinking, right into her eyes. The world seemed to stand still. Her friends, once noisy and laughing, were now deadly silent. No one dared speak as the creature stood in the middle of the road, its glowing eyes locking with Jenna's. Without warning, the fox moved closer, its footsteps completely soundless. The closer it came, the brighter its eyes glowed, now as bright as the headlights themselves, bathing the car in a blinding light. Jenna's vision blurred, her chest tightening with panic. Suddenly, the car shut off. Total darkness. Jenna frantically tried the ignition, but the car wouldn't start. The fox, now inches from the front bumper, tilted its head as if studying them. She could feel its gaze burning into her soul, freezing her in terror. "Drive, drive," her friend Sarah screamed from the passenger seat, breaking the eerie silence. Jenna turned the key again, desperation coursing through her veins. The engine roared to life just as the fox vanished. It didn't run into the woods. It didn't turn around. It simply blinked out of existence, like a light switched off. Without thinking, Jenna floored the gas, and the car shot down the road. Her heart raced as they sped away, but even as the headlights illuminated the trees ahead, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the town limits. Jenna pulled into a gas station, her body trembling with fear. No one spoke as they piled out of the car. "I'm not driving down that road again," Matt said, his voice shaky. "Did you see its eyes?" Sarah whispered. "They looked just like headlights." But Jenna already knew. The White Fox of Riverdale wasn't just a local myth. It was real, and it was watching, waiting for its next victim to stop on that haunted stretch of road. And those who stared too long into its glowing eyes never escaped the darkness. The ghostly hitchhiker of Riverdale Road. In the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, just outside Denver, Colorado, lies a stretch of road that has haunted locals for decades. Riverdale Road. Its winding paths are surrounded by dense woods and endless fields. But more terrifying than the scenery are the whispered tales of those who dare to drive after dark. It was a cool autumn evening when Sarah and Jake, a young couple from the city, decided to take a scenic drive before heading home. They'd heard rumors about the road, of course the gates of hell, the phantom jogger, and the abandoned mansion at the end of the lane, but they had always dismissed these stories as urban legends. That night, however, their disbelief would turn to horror as they drove along the deserted road. The headlights of their car pierced the thickening fog. The silence was thick, oppressive, broken only by the rumble of the engine and the occasional rustling of wind through the trees. "It's creepy out here," Sarah said, staring out the window into the looming darkness. Jake smirked. "You're not buying into those ghost stories, are you?" Before Sarah could respond, something darted in front of their car. Jake slammed on the brakes, skidding to a halt. Heart pounding, he sat still, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Sarah gasped, eyes wide as they scanned the road. "Did you see that?" Jake muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I think it was a person," Sarah replied, her voice shaking. They stepped out of the car cautiously, expecting to find an injured pedestrian. The air was unnervingly still, and the only sound was their own breathing, but the road was empty. Then, from the corner of her eye, Sarah saw her lone figure standing on the side of the road, her back turned to them. She was dressed in a white gown, stained and torn as if it had seen decades of wear. Her long, dark hair hung in tangles down her back. "Are you okay?" Sarah called out. The woman didn't move. Jake hesitated, but then stepped closer. "Miss, you need help." Slowly, the woman turned. Her face was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes, they were hollow, empty pits of darkness. Her lips barely moved as she whispered, "Help me." Sarah and Jake froze, their hearts racing. But before they could react, the woman vanished, dissolving into the fog as though she had never been there. "What the hell?" Jake gasped, stumbling back to the car. "Did you see it in the car?" Sarah urged, her voice trembling. "We need to get out of here." They hurried back inside and sped down the road, the eerie fog closing in around them like a suffocating blanket. But even as they drove, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly, Sarah let out a blood-curdling scream. Jake looked in the rearview mirror and felt his stomach drop. The woman was sitting in the back seat, her hollow eyes fixed on them, her face twisted into a grotesque grin. Jake swerved, narrowly avoiding a tree, and the car careened to a stop on the side of the road. The woman was gone again, as if she had never been there. Panting, Sarah shook her head. "We have to leave. We have to get out of here, Jake." Jake nodded, hands trembling as he restarted the car. As they drove, neither spoke, but the tension was thick. They sped through the twisting roads, desperate to reach the highway, to escape the cursed stretch of Riverdale Road. But just as they thought they were safe, the car sputtered and stalled. Jake slammed his fist against the dashboard, cursing under his breath. "What now?" Sarah cried, panic rising in her voice. Before Jake could respond, the figure reappeared in the middle of the road, directly in front of them. Her hollow eyes locked onto theirs, and her mouth opened in a silent scream. The air grew cold, frost creeping along the windows of the car as the woman's figure slowly moved toward them. Jake fumbled with the keys, trying to start the car again, but it was no use. The woman was at the hood now, her hand pressing against the windshield. Ice spread from her fingers, spider-webbing across the glass as the temperature inside the car plummeted. Sarah screamed as the ghost's face pressed against the window, her hollow eyes filling the entire pane, black voids staring into their very souls. Then, without warning, the woman disappeared once more. The frost melted, the car started, and the road was empty. Jake hit the gas, not daring to look back. They didn't stop until they reached the outskirts of Denver, heartbeats finally slowing as they left the horrors of Riverdale Road behind them. But they knew they'd never be able to forget what they'd seen: the ghostly hitchhiker, trapped forever on that cursed road, searching for help that would never come. And the next time someone warned them about Riverdale Road, they wouldn't laugh. They knew better now.